Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of the Kashif Booth podcast. If you're new here, each week I sit down with a guest and we discuss their career so far, the highs, the lows, and what's next for them. Today is another solo episode, and today I'm going to be talking about why I stopped writing. I'm best known as a writer, producer, occasional director. I haven't directed in years, so I don't know why I'm even saying that. But I'm best known for writing projects. That's what I did. I wrote projects. I wrote my short films. I wrote my 2 award-winning web series, Nate and Jamie and Imperfect. But I didn't write my final web series, which is called Newlyweds. And there was a reason for that. I had written 3 episodes for it, and I was trying to pull from an experience which I had no experience in. So I had not been in a serious relationship to marriage, and to be able to really tell the trials and tribulations of what a married couple could go through. And I was struggling, and I knew the scripts were so bad, and I just was like, you know what, I'm not going to do this. So I pull it out to the actors, and then I said I want to hear it out loud. I wanted to see if the actors had chemistry, and they had chemistry, but I just wasn't really happy with the direction of where the scripts were going. I knew what story that I wanted to tell, but I just couldn't put pen to paper. So I recruited loads of writers to develop it, and we got the pilot. And that was kind of like the tip of the iceberg for me, because that was the last time I'd written anything really, and that was 4 years ago. And it kind of played on my insecurity of not being a good writer. When I wrote Nate and Jamie, my first web series, I wrote it in a way that it was easy to shoot. It was easy to make. I think I've discussed this before on the podcast, and I didn't have any money to make it. So I made sure that it was easy, short form content. I think the longest episode over 2 seasons is 11 minutes. And majority of the episodes are about 5, maybe 6, 7 minutes. And I just kind of did the beginning, middle, and end. The 3-act structure, very, very simple, very, very simple. So it would be easy to shoot. That's what I particularly did in the first season, and a bit in the second season, because in the first season, I made sure that, I could get one location and make it look into various different locations. So it would be the first episode entitled Double Date, that was set in a wine bar. That's where we shot it. So I had one area which looked like a coffee shop, another looked like a bar, another looked like a restaurant, and it was so big to be able to cover all that space, and I was able to cheat loads of ways and just make it easy to shoot. And and I thought it was good, and at that time I was very confident with my writing as well. Like, I was like, yeah, I'm good, I can tell the jokes, I can hit what I need to get, and I had the great actors to be able to get my ideas across and to be able to do what I wanted to do perfectly. I knew what I was able to do. I knew what I wanted to achieve, and it was able to work out perfectly. And I think when you start to become a filmmaker on the level of that, you're putting out consistent work, you have to then learn and understand criticism of your work. And not everyone's going to like your work, and that's inevitable. But I think what kind of really started to put me off with my writing was the feedback of the structure of how I was writing. People just didn't really get it. Some people just thought, well, it's funny, it's cute, it's all right, but they just didn't see it as very episodic. And I kind of struggled with that feedback because I'm still telling a story and there's a story to follow. So I was like, what do you mean? I mean, this is a web series. I mean, I mean, there's some people out there who've got budgets and they want to go be very elaborate. And I just didn't feel it was necessary to do that because one, I didn't have the money, and it's also web series. I was also looking at this is still on the internet. So I was trying to make sure I captured an audience which wouldn't zone out, or the ones with short attention spans. That was my tactic, and for me I felt like it worked because one of my best friends, she's got a short attention span. So I was like, okay, how can I make sure that she'll be engaged? And that was just my tactic. It could be wrong, but that's what I chose to do. And as it kind of progressed and I was making the show and I'm working with, don't get me wrong, I have love for all of the actors who I've worked with, and I appreciate them working for free and not being paid and being so committed to the projects. But there was always this element of what I kind of gauged from them, and I could be wrong, or I could have been reading into things, but it just kind of felt like they didn't think the writing was good, and weren't enjoying what they have to deliver or my vision for my show. And there was a few comments here and there which would make fun of my writing or the direction of the story where I wanted to take it. And it's very difficult to work with people like that who will put down your work and feel like it's okay. And a lot of people will say, well, why didn't you fire them? And why didn't you, just replace them and get somebody else, or find people who were, good, well, supported or really appreciated your work? I just think it was an insecurity at the time, and it also, I just didn't have the time, and I just kind of wanted to get it done. And I think I also had that self-belief also that, that's fine what you're saying, but I've got my own plan and idea, and it is my show and my vision. But then I felt like it did dwell on me because I was just thinking like, okay, what can I do better? And I would try to push myself and really kind of try to push myself and challenge myself to be able to write differently and create different styles and really provide, more of a 3-act structure in a way that could get the storyline across. And I felt like it was going there eventually, but I just feel like I was still too scared to get feedback from people. So I would just kind of rely on my own gut to do stuff. And that's not the way to do it. The way to improve on your writing is to get feedback and to write again and get feedback as well. And you can't be afraid of constructive criticism. And sometimes I felt like I had too many yes men in my corner. I was like, oh yeah, it's great. But, sometimes you need that realness. And I did get that from the actors, but it wasn't done in a constructive way. It was more so done in a snide way and a roll your eyes kind of moment way. And that wasn't the best for me kind of moving forward. And yeah, it just didn't really feel right. And maybe I shouldn't have allowed those few comments to even affect me, but it did, because we all have insecurities, and I always felt like I could potentially do more. But then I was also felt like I was in a catch-22 situation because I don't have the money. So this is the only way I feel like I can actually pull off something and get the show done. And it was like, well, you know what, I shouldn't have really even taken on what they were saying, because I still won my awards. I still was able to build my brand as who I am, and that's where I'm able to be where I am now. So yeah, and that's what I had to end up learning eventually. And a lot of my friends and a lot of peers in the industry were like, you need to start writing again. Why aren't you writing? You're so good. And it's that self-belief, because it's so funny. It's like how you can could be 90,000 comments which are positive, but it's the 10,000 which are negative, and that's what you kind of hold on to. And I don't think there's anything wrong with holding on to something negative or constructive criticism, because you can improve from that, because nobody's perfect. Nobody's brilliant at everything. And I just think that you have to learn how to find a good balance between all of it, because sometimes somebody's constructive criticism might not even be relevant or even right for you. And you have to figure that out. And I feel like I have now, because I know that where I want to go with my career, I have to start writing because I'm a creative. I'm a creative producer. I will come up with concepts and ideas. Then I will get writers on board and I will curate a writer's room, and then we'll build the whole story, and then I'll get a writer to work on it, and then I'm developing it with the writer, and then I'm doing script edits with the writer, and then that's how I'm building. So I can do that. I'm not just a producer who just handles things logistically. I can do both. And for me to take my career to the next level, what I have to do is write. And I've started writing again this year, and it's been great. And I got feedback and constructive feedback, and I was okay listening to that and reading the feedback. And so I'm excited to be writing again and tell the stories that I want to tell. So yeah, so hopefully this has been an interesting episode, guys, and I hope that anyone else out there who's struggling with their writing or doesn't feel confident writing, write. Just do it. Believe in yourself, and also don't be afraid to get constructive feedback, because the reality is not everyone's going to like it, and you also can get varied feedback from so many different people, and people will get it, and people are able to take your writing to the next level and give you ideas to what you didn't think about. Or some people could be way off and they don't even understand what the story you're trying to tell or how you're trying to say it or tell it, and that's how you can just improve your writing. And also you can also just, because nobody's a bad writer. I just feel like nobody's a bad writer. I just feel like we can all learn how to write, and it's a talent. If we're coming up with concepts and ideas and stories, you are a writer, you are a storyteller. And regardless of how people may think a story should go or where they think the character should go, it's your story and you should tell it the way you want to say it. So as usual, guys, you can follow me all on my usual socials at Kashif Booth or Kashif Booth Podcast or Kashif Booth Entertainment. Stay tuned for new episodes coming soon.